Right, I'm going to thank you, Vanita. Thank you, Max. I know you're always there supporting. We're now going to go on to Mandy. And Mandy is a mother. She's a parent carer, and she's got a husband and her son are autistic. And I think she's on the same wavelength with me of how we're fighting to for the parents and carers within the communities. So thank you, Mandy.
Yeah, thanks, Vanessa. I'm a bit nervous because I don't do this sort of thing, so a little bit nervous. But I just wanted to sort of give you a bit of my background. Like Vanessa said, I've got a husband with autism and an 11-year-old son. Just picking up on something somebody said earlier, my husband was diagnosed at 36, he's 39 now. He's self-medicated all his life, so he's either been drinking drugs or prescription medication, that sort of thing. So he's really struggled with being diagnosed late. My son was diagnosed at 2, so he was quite early diagnosis. And I sort of took it really well, just sort of jumped on it straight away. I know that there was a lot of people when he was diagnosed who didn't take it very well. We call it awesome in our house, not autism. But I wanted to just today to talk about the transition back into school. My son, because he's 11, he's about to go to high school, so it's going to be even worse for him. I've got it all written down. I'm terrible. Living with 2 autistic people, I've learned to look at the obstacles that they face. So I can see a lot of the things that other people are going to face with going back to school. I think, sorry, my cat's crying, so I hope no one can hear it. So I think it's going to be hard enough for children, and if it's not done right, it can be devastating for them. Talking of the police system, I think it could be quite hard for children who are suffering with depression or school refusal, aggression, confusion, trauma, disengagement. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest things is disengagement, because they're not going to be able to engage with all the differences that they're facing when they go back to school. They've got things like different smells. They're not allowed to be around their friends. They're different ways of queuing in the dinner queue, different ways to sit in the classroom. There's all these things, and I think provisions need to be put in place for our children. And I think if it's not done properly, it's going to cause mayhem with a lot of people across the country. Obviously, I'm in the north, but I think also the fact that the LAs, the local authorities, are very different in the way they do things, and especially in this area because it's such a big area. I live in Cheshire East, which is huge. So we've got some children that are from different boroughs, and so they're coming from a different borough into our borough, or we're going out of borough into a different school. So you've got 2 different local authorities that do 2 different things, and you've got a child coming from Cheshire East going into Stoke-on-Trent, and it's a completely different way of working. Or you've got a child that's been in a Stoke-on-Trent school, worked one way, and coming into a Cheshire East school and working a completely different way. It needs to be more uniform right across the country. They all need to work the same. And I just think just going to look at my notes. So, see, school for autistic children is probably one of the things in their life that is most routine driven. So for them to go back and have a completely different way of schooling is going to be could be disastrous for our children, and they could get in with the wrong crowd. They could, like I say, refuse to go to school, so school refusal. There could be depression. And because they're vulnerable, they're liable to get, like I say, getting in with the wrong crowd, which again goes back to the police side of things. There's also like transitions to college for older people who've been in the school, so they're going to go somewhere different. College is very different than school, but then they're also having to have the social distancing, masks with new people that they've never met before, wearing a mask or having to social distance from. It's going to be extremely difficult for them. It's hard enough for them to read, for an autistic person to read facial expressions as it is, without having a mask in the way so that they can't read. There's so many things that we're not looking at as far as them going back to school and returning to school. It's about what we can do when they do go back, and it's being aware and recognising, identifying their behaviours, and communicating and focusing on mental health. And not a mad rush to catch up with the schoolwork that they've missed as well, because a lot of children have missed so much school. And if anyone's like my son won't learn at home, because he's like, no, home's home. School. I learn at school. I do not learn at home. And I've tried getting him to read a book or getting into... One thing that I have done is I've got him to write lists of what he wants. So he'll write a list of what sweets he wants or where he wants to go. I'll get into what his favourite film is or what his favourite game is. So that's the only schoolwork that I've actually done with my son, is lists. Everything else, he does learn himself, and he teaches himself a lot of things, but that's not a curriculum. So he's now going to go back to school and he's going to be way behind because he won't learn at home. And even when the school have tried to do something with him online, it's been, no, I'm at home. I don't do schoolwork at home. So I think the thing is they're going to be like speedies when they go back to school. So it's like, we're going to have to catch up. And you can't do that. You've got to just look at the way the children are coping first. And I'm just confirmed with everyone across the country, of children going back into school and being pushed to exhaustion, basically. I think the things that we can do, I've looked at some things that other authorities and other parents have done, like social stories, for instance. I was thinking of something like a social video of what school will look like, because obviously our children are very visual, or autistic people in general are very, very visual. I think we should have a uniformed approach for all local authorities, like I just said. And there's this new thing now that many schools have introduced a behaviour charter. I don't know whether that's, which I think is ridiculous as it is, that parents sign to agree that their child will comply with it. And the requirements may be significantly harder for our children. I don't believe in it anyway, but because you can't get a child to sign to say, yes, I'm going to behave. It's not right. I've heard some really good experiences across the country, but it seems to be that no two areas are reacting the same. So like I've had one, in Manchester, they did, during COVID, they did like a park that they could visit. So you've got like a certain time that you went in the park. This is for special needs children, and you've got a certain times like you went to the park and you had probably another family in there, so you could social distance, but that's what they did. And some places have done that with leisure centres, but then other places have done nothing. A lot of that is run by charities as well, not the local authority. And all the local authorities should be working together to make it a uniformed transition back into school, so that not one local authority is working completely different. Not one local authority is doing something really amazing to get their children back into school, and the other local authorities doing absolutely nothing. It should be that the government are putting something in place to say, look, this is the way, or the DFE or whoever it is, should be putting something in place to say, look, this is how we should transition our children back into school, college, or into nursery. Even, I mean, for younger children, it's going to be extremely difficult because they've never been to school before. Yeah, I think so. That's me basically, and I'd just like to say, Vanessa, that I really respect what you're doing, and I hope that next time I'll be better.
You know what? I was just saying to you when we spoke over LinkedIn, and I did say to you, sometimes people say, oh, it's Venessa Bobb again. And I don't think people realise is that we all are going through the same struggles across the UK. Yes, we've got the USA here, but when you listen to their story, the government may operate a little bit different, but the same problems are still there. So for me, I just wanted to show that even though I'm in London and you're in Cheshire, is to show that we are having the same problems. But when it comes to me as a Black mother, which we had this discussion, is when it comes about race, if you have got an organisation and you're not tackling racism within your organisation, then you're failing that family. So, but you came back and you said, look, this is what we do in our organisation. And I was laughing in a way when you said, oh, I've got this, I've got a Black person, I've got an Asian. I said, really, in Cheshire? Yeah. So it shows how...
Polish, a lot of Polish.
You see, so this is what I'm saying is that sometimes if we don't talk and we assume, and I think that's what's happened, that when you came in outreach to Venessa, I'm really interested, I couldn't say no, because I said to everybody, it's about us coming together, because if you've got that one Black family who need that help, you say, oh, I know I can go to Jackie, or I can go to Venessa, or I can go to... There's so many families out there that are willing to talk, but some people are too scared of the rejection, and I think that's how I used to be, where I used to keep quiet.
That's in every person is, some people are not as strong as others, and those are the ones that I really sort of like fight for. It sort of gets my heart. I mean, you're a strong person, but there's probably many people in your area that are not as strong and were not as outspoken, and that's why sometimes I feel like I've got to sort of speak for them. If that makes sense. And I think we're all earthlings. I think everybody's the same, no matter what race, colour, creed, whatever. We're all different. I'm different to my husband. I'm different to the woman down the street. We're all extremely different. I understand that, unfortunately, this society doesn't see it that way. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are against the Black community, and I think that to me is just so wrong. I don't agree with it. I am an activist, so I would like to do a march with you, Vanessa, if ever you do one.
I think what I can say to you and what I can take from this today is that, like I said, I was told basically I'm touching a very tricky subject. When we said the word police, it wasn't to start attacking the police. I've always said to everybody, if I turned round and I decided to boycott the local authorities, boycott the social services, boycott children's centres, boycott everybody around me, boycott the churches, everybody around me, I would be a very sad person, which it took me to realise that everybody needs to start from somewhere. Everybody needs to learn. And how I learned was to go on to these professional workshops to realise when I was there, yes, I was the only Black person. And I always kept talking about autism, because they always put mental health with autism. Yeah. And that's why I had to say it's not the same. No, autism is in a different category, and you can't put learning disabilities, say, oh, they're all under, no. And it's only till when I started meeting Jessie, I met Max, again, and then again, sometimes when you go to these events, when I've gone to Houses of Commons, and then just Max got heckled. It's sad when you got an autistic person heckling another autistic person because they feel they didn't like what they said. So what people don't realise, we're in a community where I'm fighting amongst the autistic community, then the Black community, then the professionals, then I got my family, then I got everybody around me just at me. And I said, that's why I said tonight was the night where I was told I shouldn't have done this. I'm glad I done it, because it proved that when people tell me, no, I shouldn't do it, it makes me want to do it. And I've
you're not free then, are you?
Yeah, Paul was behind me saying, don't let people stop you from being a voice, because I hid behind the camera. And now I'm speaking. I didn't like it. Now I realise, because I've been on Zoom, I've now seen a different world. And as I said, Jackie, Tom, and even Leroy, because I said it's the first time I've connected with Leroy through Jackie. And for me right now, I'm just thanking everybody again today. And I'm thanking you, Mandy. And I'm sure we're going to be doing more stuff, because I know you do stuff with NHS England.
Yeah.
And I know with America, I know in the USA, I was thinking, who's this? Who's that? Maybe I'll translate everything so everybody around the world can know what's going on. So tell us how many people are participating. Oh, somebody said how many people are participating. We did have a big intake of about 80. We only got 37 altogether, only 37 of us today. It doesn't matter. It's being recorded. So to me, it's not about the numbers. It's about getting our voices out there. And like I said, I'm glad that Mandy came on board. And Mandy, thank you.